Thanks for watching Hindsight 101. Click the subscribe button and select the notification bell to stay up to date.
Hello, my name is Derrick, and welcome to Hindsight 101, where you're learning about things that will help you in everyday life. Now, we're going to talk about headsets, mainly for the office environment, but this could also work for gaming as well. Now, recently, I've had to transition from working in an office to working at home, and I needed a good headset, and I went through a slew of different ones and learned a lot of tough lessons. And I've picked out about 5 criteria that you need to be aware of when you're picking out a headset. And at the end, I will tell you what headset I went with. So without further ado, let's get started. Now, as I said, we're going to break this up into 5 categories. The first one is, do you want to go wired or wireless? Now, for me, wired was great in the office. I didn't really have to move around a lot, so I was okay with being tied to my desk. And any occasional things I need to do, maybe walk back and forth, pace around, whatever I needed, wasn't a big problem because the cord was long enough. But now that I'm home, wireless has been invaluable. Sometimes I need to get something to eat, check on the kids, or even go to the bathroom, and I need that flexibility that wireless gave me. So now there's some things you need to be made aware of whether you go wired or wireless. So if you go wired, you have to choose between a USB or 3.5 millimeter connection. Now I like USB, and here's why. Now if you go with 3.5 millimeter connection, on some computers you have a single port for the mic and single port for the headphones. So and then you'd have to get an adapter to make that work, and nobody really likes adapters. But then also there are some computers that have a combo unit where the jack is a headphone and a mic all in one, but there's some that are just a headphone and a mic does not work. So you have to find out if that works for you or not, and I just don't like all those different nuances. So I like USB, but USB just works. You plug it in, it recognizes it, and no fiddling with anything else. So I say go USB. Now, if you go wireless, you have a couple different options to choose from. You have the 2.4 gigahertz, which is basically you have a dongle and your headset, and they automatically sync up once you plug it into your computer. Now, you get really good range, but it also uses the same frequency as stuff like your Wi-Fi and many other devices, so you have to be careful of interference. That's one big drawback. Now, you can also go Bluetooth. Bluetooth has more of a limited range, but you can connect it to a lot of different devices. So say you want to use your Bluetooth headset with your phone, your stereo, or your computer, you can do that. The problem is you don't get that automatic sync like you do with 2.5. You have to pair and unpair. Some Bluetooth devices will pair with more than one thing, one or two things, but after that, you're going to have to unpair or pair it with other stuff, so it just becomes a hassle if you want to go that route. Now, lastly, you have DECT, D-E-C-T, which is Digital European Cordless Transmission. That's a mouthful. So basically, a lot of that is found in phone systems. So they use it for other things, but mostly for phone systems for what we're talking about. And it's going to be clunky because you have to have a base station, you have to hook it up to a phone. So you don't get a lot of versatility with that, whereas you do with some of the other ones, you can move them around. This one is going to be tied to a phone. So you have to think about that if you want to go that route. Now, the second criteria is a mute button. I know, how complicated can that be? But there's a lot of different things you need to know when choosing a mute button for your headset. Now, first, some inexpensive units, when you press the mute button, it'll mute the headset, but it's not recognized on your PC. So if you're in a conference call, it won't show that you're on mute. You'll have to remember, or you'll have to talk and say, "Can you hear me?" to find out whether you're on mute or not. So that can be a problem. It does play a sound, but the sound's the same whether you're going on mute or off mute, so you never really know which one it is. And I don't really like that. Now next, if you go with some inexpensive Bluetooth headsets, some of them, the mute button only works for a cell phone, but it won't work for your computer. I don't know, maybe it's some protocol. Now, if you go to the upper echelon of 100 and above, those work just fine. But you do have to understand that if you want a cheaper price, you're going to lose out on some things. So the third criteria is style. You need to decide on a couple different things, whether you want to go earbuds, and those just sit in your ear, and some people don't like that, or you can go on ear, which the ear cups just sit on your ear. That can be annoying as well. Or you can go with over the ear, and that's basically what it is. It's these cups that fit over your ear. But a lot of times the material is made out of pleather or leather, and it gets very hot and sticky, so you could start to sweat. Some come in cloth, and that's probably preferable, but you have to decide on which one works best for you. But then also, if you're in a professional environment, a lot of people like earbuds because they're discreet and because they don't want these big gaming headset things while they're talking to a client or someone like that. But if you do decide to go with the on-ear or over-the-ear, there's also, you can get the dual cup or a single cup. The single cup will give your ears a rest because you can switch them back and forth, but you can also, it gives you the option of hearing a conversation, but then you can also hear something going on in the background if you need to hear your kids or something. Now with the dual, that covers both ears and that'll isolate a lot of outside noises so you can just be focused on whoever you're talking to. So the fourth criteria is comfort. Now you need to decide on what's going to work best for you because you may have these things on for hours at a time, so you want to feel comfortable. Now one is how tight are they? Some of these units, when they come out of the box, they're really tight. What I like to do is get a shoebox and put them on for a couple days to kind of stretch it out. Also, some of the cheaper ones, if you go with a headset, don't have a cushion on the top band. And when you have that plastic sit in your head for a long time, it can get annoying. I've even gone to the point of just wrapping a cloth around it to make it a little more comfortable. But then also, as I mentioned before, what size do you want? Do you want these big, huge things on that's sitting on your head all day? Or do you just want some small earbuds hanging out of your ear? But also with that, earbuds come in many different options. Some are in-ear, over-the-ear. They have all different types of styles that you can choose from that may work better for you. So you have to decide what's going to be great as far as isolating noise, or do you want comfort, or what is more important to you? That's what you need to think about. So my fifth and final criteria is more of a hodgepodge of honorable mentions. So you have price, and then you have sound and mic quality. So with headsets, you pretty much get what you pay for. So if you go with an inexpensive pair, you'll get good options, but you'll also be missing some options as well. But then if you go with that $100 or above, like I mentioned, you'll get everything you want, but you'll pay for it. Now with sound quality, it's what does the person sound like when they're talking? Does it sound tin and hollow, or does it sound like they're right in the room? So that could be a factor for you depending on what you want. And then also mic quality. What do you sound like to the other person? Does your mic make you sound tinny and hollow, or do you sound really good? And then does your mic have noise cancellation? So if there's a baby crying in the background, does your mic block that out, or does it pick up everything in the room, but knowing all the people you're talking to? Then also you want to think about mic placement. So with earbuds, usually the mic, with wired earbuds at least, it's like down here, so you have to usually hold it up. Or with other earbuds, wireless earbuds, usually the mic is in your ear, and I don't really like those because it picks up a lot of other sound too because of naturally where the mic is. With headset mics, they usually, some extend out, some bend, some are also in the ear as well. So you have to decide on that. What type of environment are you in? Are you in a quiet environment or a noisy environment? And do you need to block a lot of that out? So as promised, I told you I would tell you what I went with. Well, I went with the Plantronics Voyager 4210. They were bought out by Poly, which is a communications company that makes a lot of devices. But if you go to look for it, you may see some different branding. That's why. The reason why I like this is one, it's cordless, so I can move around the house as much as I want. So this is a Bluetooth, but it has a base. So if I connect the headset to the Bluetooth base, I can walk outside around my whole house and still hear people. But then I also have the option of connecting just the headset to a computer. I don't get as good as range, but I like the flexibility if I wanted to do that. Now next, it does come with that base station. And I always would forget to plug in my headset at night. So when I wake up the next day, I have like 10 minutes left before it goes dead. Well, now I just set it on the headset and it charges and it's great. I know it's laziness, but that's me. And then finally, the mute button. The mute button is probably the best feature of all because it works with all applications, everything that I've used it for, conference calls, it's great. But the biggest thing is when I'm on mute and I forget, it'll remind you because when it hears sound, basically you talking, it'll remind you that you're on mute. And can't tell you how many times that I've talked to myself and didn't even realize I was on mute. So I hope this helps. I'll have some links below to kind of give you some options. And if you want to support the channel, check out some of my other videos. Take care.